China helps Russia.
At the European Council in Brussels, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky took a direct jab at Beijing, accusing China of quietly aiding Moscow while denying help to Kyiv. In his most pointed remarks yet, Zelensky said, "China helps Russia, not Ukraine," suggesting Beijing has no interest in seeing Ukraine win the war or Europe stay united.
China helps Russia, doesn't help Ukraine, and not interested in our victory and in Russia losing, to my mind. And it's not only my mind. I think that's mostly countries who understand what's going on with relations China, United States, and Russia, and Europe. Yes, so understand the same things. I think so. So they are not interested. Yes, Europe has to be strong. They are not interested in unity between USA and Europe, and they are not interested in weak Russia.
Zelensky claimed China has never offered weapons or substantial aid to Ukraine, and that despite phone talks with Xi Jinping, Beijing has refused to alter its neutral stance. He said China's position benefits only Russia, further isolating Kyiv as the war drags on.
We don't have even permanent dialogue with Xi Jinping, and we had some phone conversations, and he said to me that he will not sell weapon, and I know nothing about really packages of weapon, but I know one thing: China helps Russia, doesn't help Ukraine.
Hours later in Beijing, the pushback came fast. China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson Guo Jiakun lashed out not only at the European Union, but also indirectly at Kyiv, rejecting all Western accusations linking Beijing to Moscow's war machine. He accused the EU of hypocrisy, warning that sanctions and political pressure were crossing red lines.
The European side has repeatedly imposed unlawful unilateral sanctions on Chinese enterprises on the pretext of Russia-related matters. China expresses strong dissatisfaction and resolute opposition to this.
Guo Jiakun said China's ties with Russia were normal, legitimate cooperation, not war assistance. And in a rare show of fury, he declared that the EU is in no position whatsoever to criticize Beijing's relations with Moscow, warning Europe to stop using China as a political tool.
The EU is in no position whatsoever to criticize the normal interactions and cooperation between Chinese and Russian enterprises. We urge the EU to cease using China as a pretext to undermine Chinese interests.
China's anger didn't stop at Europe. Beijing also slammed US President Donald Trump's new sanctions on Russia's oil majors, Rosneft and Lukoil, imposed after Trump cancelled his planned summit with Vladimir Putin in Budapest. Guo warned that such unilateral actions were illegitimate and damaging to the global economy.
China has consistently opposed unilateral sanctions that lack a basis in the United Nations and are not authorized by the Security Council.
Zelensky's poke and China's sharp counter have opened a new front in the global diplomatic battle. As Ukraine turns its frustration on Beijing and China doubles down on defending Moscow, the East-West fault line deepens. For now, Beijing's message is unmistakable. China will not arm Ukraine, will not apologize for Russia, and will not be lectured by the West.